Going live. There we are. Hello, lovely people. Happy Sunday. This is Stars of the Morning Light. I am Courtney. This is our weekly goal. This is also a Q&A. This is when I mostly should be paying attention to the chat. So welcome, welcome. Happy Sunday. Our weekly goal is interesting, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm still kind of formulating it in my head. It is based off the story of the tortoise and the hare, which I didn't know had so many versions of it. But before we always do our weekly goal, I decided a couple weeks ago that I would pull a card from my sacred geometry deck, oracle deck. And today I pulled perception. I'm not sure if I pulled this before or I've just seen it a lot. I'm going to try to hold the card up, lovely people, that there will not be a glare. That is the sacred geometry of perception. It's kind of hard to get it without a glare. There we go. So let's just keep this in mind as we move forward, because this message is it's interesting. So perception. The frequency of perception supports our natural curiosity, moving us beyond our comfort zone to find the edges of what we perceive as real and to take a good, hard, deep look at it. And that was our sacred geometry card for the message today, this week. So, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful people, you are a star. Hello, Musgraves, you are a star. Shine brightly. Oh, love it. As many of you know, I get the weekly goal from the Akashic Records. They usually give me a story, a name, maybe a word to look up as far as vocabulary, because I'm very keen on definitions of words. And I will say maybe I was being a little bit of the tortoise, because while I was there, they gave me the story of the tortoise and the hare. And I said, okay, so who do I focus on, the tortoise or the hare? And they said, neither. Focus on the race. And I went, okay. And then I said, any word, any symbol? And they said, oh yeah, the word rapture. And I paused and I went, okay, that's a pretty mighty word for a lot of people that might be listening. Are you sure? Because I don't want to, get in trouble here. And they said, oh yeah, look up the definition, Courtney. And I thought I knew the definition for the most part, because I know there's many definitions. But I will say I was kind of being a little bit of a hare, being a little bit probably arrogant, thinking, oh, this message might be easy. I'll just, I'll start Saturday night or something looking at things. Oh, what a dummy I was. There's multiple versions of the tortoise and the hare, meaning multiple variations of the race that went on. And we're going to talk about that. But let's talk about just the definition of rapture. Most of us generally understand it as the Christian idea of being, taken up to heaven. But there are other definitions to that word. One is an expression or manifestation of ecstasy or passion. Another is a state or experience of being carried away by overwhelming emotions. And this one is what really caught my eye. Sorry, I'm drinking a lot of water today, by the way. It was a lot of yard work yesterday. So this one really caught my eye. Rapture can also mean a mystical experience in which the spirit is exalted to a knowledge of divine things. Hi, Thomas. That sounds to me like an awakening, like moving forward in spiritual growth. Let's read that again. So, rapture can also mean this: a mystical experience in which the spirit is exalted to a knowledge of divine things. Wow, I never knew it had that definition. I did know about being overwhelmed with emotions, but I didn't know that definition at all. So taking that into account, it was like, okay, well then I had to dig into the tortoise and the hare. So most of us adults, whatever age you are at adult, at some point, usually during childhood, either a teacher read the story or mom and dad read the story, or of we know the most common of the Aesop fable. This is an Aesop fable. That is the original story, is from Aesop. And guys, I guess people might not know this. They're not really even sure if Aesop was a person. It was stories being collected, kind of like the Brothers Grimm. So this story is very old. Aesop was in Greece. It's very old. As most people, I'm not going to go into it because most people know Aesop, or at least his fables, because we've heard them through our childhood so much. So the general one is that there's a tortoise, a turtle, and a hare, a rabbit, and the hare kind of turns to the tortoise and is like, "Hey, slow poke," giving him grief for how slow he is. How can you get anything done? And the tortoise says, "Hey, no, man, I'll outrace you any day." And it's a very simple race in that story. And what happens is the hare is like, "This is ridiculous. I will always win. I'm way faster than a tortoise." So twice in that story, he has a huge head start and he sits down and relaxes because he's thinking, this is the most ridiculous thing I'm doing. How dare he, oppose me? He's going to lose. Then he runs a little bit more and then he rests again and he falls asleep. And that's when the tortoise slowly, quietly creeps past him and wins the race. And Aesop ended that story with, the race is not always to the swift. We then turned it into slow and steady wins the race, meaning strong work ethic, keep going, that sort of thing. But let's dig in because they really wanted me to focus not so much on the hare and the tortoise, but the race. I didn't know there were so many versions of this, and the last one that we go through is going to be fascinating. Now, keep in mind, our card that we drew was perception, and I will go back and read it towards the end, the definition. And we're talking about the definition of rapture. That can be carried away with overwhelming emotions. It can be an expression or manifestation of ecstasy or passion, which is interesting in itself. I do want to stay in the overwhelming emotions, or the definition, a mystical experience in which the spirit is exalted to a knowledge of divine things. So another story variation. So there are, it is contributed to Aesop that he was the first, or that story recorded was the first of this. But then let's look at the one in the Netherlands real quick. The Netherlands has the frog and the snail. They decide to race, so the frog and the snail decide to race to the next city. Well, of course, the frog got there first, but the gates were closed at that city, and he couldn't get in. So he had to sit and wait. And while he waited, he also fell asleep. And the snail came by and crawled right over into the city. He crawled right through the gate. He could get through. This is fascinating stuff, guys. Then our beloved Brothers Grimm recorded one, which I didn't know that. And I have a lot of their collections, and I didn't know that they recorded this. In beautiful Brother Grimm's fashion, the end is gory, so bear with me. God love them. That was between a hare and a hedgehog. Now, the hare was definitely conceited and kind of represented in the well-to-do man. And of course, there's this, old little hedgehog that's his legs are much shorter, a little bit crippled, and they see each other out in the garden. And the hare said, what are you even doing out here? How can you get anything done with those little legs? And the hedgehog, of course, out of really insecurity about his crippled legs, he made a bet. Kind of like reverse pride. I know I've talked about reverse pride in other videos. And so they did a race. And the hare... so before the race began, see, this one gets really weird. So the hedgehog goes back home, and his wife is there, and he says, hey, I'm going to race the hare this afternoon. And she's like, what? We're going to lose. And he put gold and some whiskey on this bet. The hedgehog was like, I bet I'll win, and I bet you a pound of gold and some whiskey. All right. And so he goes home, the hedgehog goes home, and he tells his wife, and his wife starts freaking out. You're going to lose. You can barely move. What are you doing? And the hedgehog said, no, you're going to help me. He said, I'm going to be at the one end of the race. You, because you look exactly like me, fellow hedgehog, you go to the end of the race. And so all that has to happen is when they hit go, I just got to travel a little bit. That hare will run fast, and you'll be waiting there at the end. That's what they did. And so that's exactly what happened. And the rabbit gets to the other end, or the hare gets to the other end, and he's like, how did you get here so fast? And the hedgehog just, yeah, I've been here. That was his wife. So then the rabbit goes, I bet I'll beat you back. He runs back. The male hedgehog was there. And he's like, how did you do that? I've been here. I keep telling you I'm faster than you. It's all trickery. The hare was, I'll beat you again. Let's go back. He refused to submit to the fact that he lost, to the point that he kept betting that he would win at some point, going back and forth when these hedgehogs are just standing there. And in great Brother Grimm's fashion, supposedly he did that. He challenged again and again and again, to the point of 74 times. He is just running back and forth, running himself ragged, freaking out because he doesn't know how this is happening. To the point of 74 times that he drops dead, and the Brothers Grimm says there's like blood coming out of his mouth. That is how much he exhausted himself to win just once. Yeah, guys, this gets pretty wild. Now, let's the last one that I'm going to go into, and do know all of these stories, all of the different versions of uh, the tortoise and the hare, all of them have some kind of message of a race between unequal partners. The hare usually does represent, I, I'm trying to find the right word to not be, um, the arrogant, the maybe better off, those who think that they're in the know, those bullies. Some of it is represented as bullies, like the one that we usually hear in America. The hare at the beginning is very much a bully towards the tortoise. Um, and then you have the other that's in the race that's clearly, clearly not going to win out of any logic. He's much slower. He might be crippled. He's not as fortunate. He's not as privileged as this beautiful hare. So moving forward, let's go through one more and then let's gel this all together because I was not expecting all of this. And hi, lovely people. Thank you for being here. The last one I'm going to go through was fascinating, and it was from Lord Dunsey. He was really, now he's considered one of the grandfathers of fantasy. He was writing right at the turn of the 19th century. But he wrote his own version of this that a lot of scholars, especially if you're going to maybe write a paper about fables, you would use this especially to bring home any kind of point you're trying to make. Yeah, this story is kind of interesting. So in his, Lord Dunsey's version of the Tortoise and the Hare, at the beginning, there is a massive clash within the forest animals. Massive clash. Arguing about who would be the fastest, the hare or the tortoise. Massive clash. They're about to go to war. It literally says those words. They're about to go to war because of this argument of just who's faster in this race. So before war happened, they decided, okay, well then we just do it. We just do the race and see who wins. We'll just decide. We'll just find out instead of arguing about it nonstop. And there were supporters for the hare, and the reasoning that they gave in this book or in this story was the hare must be faster because he has longer ears. I think there's multiple meanings there. Think because the hare does represent the privileged, the more, because long ears always kind of represented certain stuff. You could see it as, like, in human form, more jewelry, more, you see what I'm saying? Because we're talking about forest animals. But then there were supporters for the tortoise that were saying, oh, no, he's got a hard shell, which means he can also move fast, meaning he's durable. Right. So we have two fashions here. You could see it as white collar, blue collar. You could see it anybody that fits kind of in these paradigms of, oh no, because these people are, the hare is more mighty and swift and fancy, opposed to this little turtle that's hard body, can be durable, can get through anything. That argument right there. To the point of almost war with these forest animals. And bear with me to the end, because the end throws there's a twist at the end of this story. So they decide they're gonna, okay, let's just make a race before we go to war, and whoever wins this race, clearly that's going to be our answer, and that's what we have to go with, and that means the fighting stops. So they begin the race, and the hare, of course, goes fast and is 30 meters, whatever yards ahead, and he is just not interested in this. So he stops again and is like, this is ridiculous. I am better than him. I will win this race, so I don't even know why I'm here. And the fascinating part about that is that when he did that, his supporters were saying, get up and do something, get up and go, because you might not win. You got to get up and go, show some effort, show that you care. And the hare was like, no, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever done. And so he lost supporters along the way because he kept doing that. He kept stopping and just saying, this is dumb. He lost his supporters, many of them, that then went to the side of the turtle. Or the tortoise, I'm sorry. The tortoise, either way, turtle, tortoise. And he picked up more supporters who are just encouraging him the whole way. Okay, slow, hard body, keep going. Slow, hard body. To the point that the end of it is pretty much similar to ours. That the hare pretty much gave up and fell asleep, and there's no supporters by that time around him waking him up and saying, no, go, the tortoise is coming. So he fell asleep, and then there's this cheer of supporters backing the tortoise as he is right at the edge of crossing the finish line. Is when the hare wakes up and goes, oh, too late, I'm not going to make it in time, and he loses. So now everybody, okay, that's the supposedly that's the final, right? The tortoise is the fastest. We are all going to support the tortoise then, because he clearly won the race. The twist at the end of this story is that most people, or not people, forest animals, didn't even get the message to support the tortoise, or even knew how the race finished, because they were living their lives. And the forest animals, okay, people, fine, people, forest, whatever. The ones that kind of held back after the race, talking about things, figuring out maybe next plans, because now the tortoise is in the lead and he's the front runner to pretty much run the forest, right? Well, while they were there, they could see in the distance a forest fire coming. And then they talked amongst themselves and said, okay, who do we send to warn the forest animals? They literally had the talk, who should we send? Because the tortoise just won the race, but all logic and reasoning would say send the hare to warn the people. And they sent the tortoise. The entire forest caught on fire and everyone died. I'm sorry, I got chills right now. It is a wild story. So we have multiple different versions of this. That one brought it to a whole nother level for me. How are you guys doing? I know. I don't think many of us have heard these stories. Do know that the majority of the time within these stories, it is represented that the slower party outwits them somehow, outwits the hare somehow, or it is slow and steady wins the race, good work ethic. And the faster one has always self-sabotaged himself out of arrogance, out of pride, out of non-interest because, this is ridiculous for me to run this race. Self-sabotage. So I was told by the records to not even focus so much on the tortoise and the hare. And I understand that because, there's always unequal parts. There's always this and that. I don't think that's the message. The message is the race. But then they also gave me the word rapture. And let's look at those definitions again. It's, yeah, this is what, and I will say, maybe I was being too much of a hare. I think I said this at the very beginning because I kind of, when I first got this message, I went, oh, I think I got it. That's easy peasy. And then I didn't even give myself enough time to prep for this message because I was, being like the hare. And now I'm like, what is the weekly message? We're going to get there, guys. It's just, it's a little jumbled. So let's look at these definitions of rapture again. An expression or manifestation of an expression or manifestation of ecstasy or passion. Another definition is a state or experience of being carried away by overwhelming emotion. Which when I read that, I was thinking about how the forest animals were about to go to war. I mean, fights were breaking out. Just because they needed to know who could win the race fastest. Overwhelming emotion. Another definition, a mystical experience in which the spirit is exalted to a knowledge of divine things. So this is my personal opinion. This is my personal opinion, beloveds. And really take these stories, take these definitions. Remember that the card that was drawn today was perception. Maybe I'll read that again real quick. This is from the Sacred Geometry Oracle deck. It gives you all of the symbols. It's a great deck if anybody's interested in it. And for this show today, I drew perception. Again, the frequency of perception supports our natural curiosity, moving us beyond our comfort zone to find the edges of what we perceive as real and to take a good, hard, deep look at it. Yeah, I agree, Lucky. That's why he had to use animals. When I'm retelling it, though, I want to say people. I want to be like, he's talking about people here, folks. And hello, Lucky. Sorry that we weren't able to get together last night with Robert. We will, my friend. I completely adore you and your mind. It's lovely. And Thomas Musgraves, thank you for being here. This is wonderful. Steady Eddie. So wrapping all this in through our minds, all the different versions, a race between unequal parts, no matter what story we go with, the Netherlands, the Grimm brothers, the one that we all grew up with, Aesop, no matter which one we go with, it's a race. First of all, I want to focus on that. And it's a race between unequal parts. And I think many of us are feeling that a little bit right now. But let's just see how they were referring to a race. And it's interesting because all of it, for some reason, there's this huge um, determining factor at the end. Like whoever wins the race, well, okay, that's who kind of leads us, or that ends the war, or um, that proves who is smarter, more that has more wit. I mean, there's always it's proving something. This race, like it's proven something. And it's interesting that when we look at the word rapture, when it talks about overwhelming emotions, when it talks about gaining that knowledge of divine things, I can't help to think right now how many of us feel that we are in a race. Sorry, I might actually cry here. I don't want to, but so many of us feel that way. I mean, we've been talking, and I've even been talking about it. Game on, game on. That now everything that we have learned and practiced, it is time to put it into effect, right? Which is good and great. But for me, I don't want to lose my perception of what really matters. And it is to continue on, even though I am a part of this whole race, this race to the end goal. There is a goal. Mine is a goal. We all have goals. Do I at times, even though I know how much those of love and light, the children of the light, can succeed, do I still have moments of feeling like the underdog? Yeah, because it can be overwhelming emotions. I can be raptured in anger sometimes, in fear sometimes, in sadness. I get raptured in a lot of sadness, just for fellow men. I mean, all humans are my fellow men. And that can happen. And we are in a race. So therefore, there is an end goal. There is a threshold to go over. And for me, when I had to kind of wrap my head around everything that was being said here, it was that last definition, that regardless of the race that I'm running, my true goal is to not forget that my race, my goal is to really continue to grow spiritually and mentally and physically. Because even though so many of us, especially us star seeds, light workers, children of the light, us beloveds that are here for the good fight, for the good race, to run and do and be and win and get over that goal line. I don't want us to lose that the ultimate goal is to continue to grow, to continue to get that knowledge, seek that wisdom, grow in our divine things. Because as humbly as I can put it, there's absolutely no ascended being on this planet right now. And if that really is the race that we need to go through, be like an ascended master, then that's the race we should focus on. And I'm hoping this makes sense. That's the race we should focus on. Continuously grow, learn, gain the knowledge of divine things, be raptured by it. Have that become our overwhelming emotions, opposed to seeing everything in the world. Now, I do agree, and yes, we have to look, we have to know, because we are in the race. but let's pay attention to our perception of things, right? So that is how, and it really doesn't matter. You could be the frog and the snail in the Netherlands. That how you're going to win is you're just going to creep and slide your way through over the gate to get through the pearly gates of divine knowledge. Or you might have to outwit the Hare, like the Brothers Grimm, which honestly, I'm not sure about that one because who's the better off in that version? Oh, God, love the Brothers Grimm. Or do we have to, like at the end of Lord Dunsey's version of, what the hell does it matter who won the race when everyone dies in the end because we didn't use logic to send the Hare to warn everybody about the forest fire? So it's just fascinating that they give all different sorts of scenarios that could happen, choices that us humans could make. Maybe we want to be the hedgehog and just outwit all the rabbits and wear them down to the point that they pass out and die. Maybe we want to be the snail, and maybe we are going real slow, and then we just, oh, I'm just going to hop over this gate. That's cool. Or as a society, we could make really bad decisions, not based on logic at all, but based on who just won the race, and then everybody perishes. So I say, because we are in a race, it is kind of game on, to let's not see the end mark of that, but see the end mark of completing and continuously working on our own ascension process. So what are your guys' thoughts? Any questions, any thoughts about it? Yeah, when I started this, it was like, whoa. I thought it was going to be easy. Slow and steady wins the race. We're good. Easy peasy. You know? And no, it turned into so many things that we can apply to today. Yeah. Oh, lucky you do feel extra sensitive. Yeah. I will say, guys, I still, and I think a few of us, especially the ladies on Wayne, I think some of us still feel that towards the end of this month, 29th-ish in there, something might be revealed or done, said, what have you, that kind of enlightens a lot of people, wakes people's eyes up to things. And for us who are sensitive, we can always feel that coming, and we're feeling all of, like I said. So do we see everything happening in the world? Are we a part of this world? Definitely. And we have to know that, we have to experience it, and we have to cry through it. We have to communicate about it. None of us are alone. And but let's not lose sight, because if any of you fellow healers, empaths, psychics out there like myself, we tend to lose sight of our own well-being because there's so much happening around us and in the world, because we feel it and we want to care and we want to heal and we want to help over and over and over again, and we take on so much that is not ours to take on, meaning we lose ourselves. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. The best way that we can win this race, because we are in it, is not to lose ourselves, to continuously acknowledge the growth of the knowledge in divine things. Because I understand. I will being a healer. Um, there's a lot of healing that needs to be done. But remember, it starts with self. It always will start with self. That's how we will win. Yeah. 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 So I guess that's kind of our weekly goal, is the fact that the perception came out. I say with that is maybe when we start losing sight of the end game, the goal at the end, which really is the more that we can follow through like an ascension process and learn and grow ourselves, the better we are able to sustain, heal, help others. So it does start with self. So I would say with the perception card coming out, I do think people's perceptions, like I said, by next week around this time, things are gonna be looking different. I do feel that way. People's perceptions are gonna change very rapidly. So we also have to kind of stay in our own. How am I seeing things? What am I seeing as real? Where do I have to dig a little deeper? Like it says, take a good, hard, deep look at it. Because I will also tell you, somewhere in these variations of the story, the tortoise and the hare, we're somebody in that. We're somebody in that story. We could be a supporter. We could be, in all of these, there was also kind of a judge who lined the course. Sometimes it was a fox, sometimes it was others. So we could be the judge who's laying out the race. We could be feeling like we are either the tortoise or the hare. Because I will tell you, there is, like, I can't think of the term right now. I apologize. Us that are in this line of work, teachers, metaphysical teachers, spiritual teachers, healers, also just people in general. I actually just had this conversation with somebody last night. Oftentimes we become, I don't want to say conceited or arrogant. That's not really it is that we kind of lie to ourselves. And teachers can end up being on pedestals, which they should not be ever. I'm very in tune with that. I try to never allow that to happen. And no one should see a teacher as putting them up on a pedestal, because they are no different than the rest. But there's oftentimes people can say, oh, I've already healed all that. I've already learned all that. I've already done all that growth. And in reality, in what we perceive as real, that's not necessarily fully true. Have they done a lot of healing? Yes. Have they grown? Yes. But to completely dismiss any further growth because, oh, that's done, I'm over it, that is a danger zone. It's a danger zone. So, and there are times that, yes, you do completely are able to heal. I'm talking about, I'm sure many people know those who say this, and including myself, about certain things. We will think that we finished it all. We will think that we won the race in that particular subject matter in our lives of healing, growing, and changing, transforming, transmuting. And then even 3 years later, it's like, oh, it creeps back up. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. We are one of these characters. So in essence, we can also be the hare saying, why would I bother racing a turtle? I got this. I got this. You know what I'm saying? when we're alone, we might have those thoughts of, oh, this is going to be really rough. I don't know. I don't know. Right? So we have to be honest with ourselves. We have to see where our perceptions are leading us. We have to see what our individual reality is in this race. And at the same time, do not forget that the end goal is really an individual ascension, because that's where we truly help all things and all peoples. So I think I just summed it all up as to what this weekly goal really is maybe just look at throughout this week, see things that, did I fully heal that area? Where am I in my spiritual growth? Who am I in this race right now? Am I just some supporter because I'm being told to support this way? Perception of ourselves and perception of others is where we need to kind of look at and see the reality, our reality, individual realities of where we are in this race. Are we at the beginning? Are we at the middle? So that's the weekly goal, to just notice little things about ourselves. Allow your intuition to show you the truth, Oh, I agree, Lucky. I agree. When I was a teenager, something came over me. I think it was a download. This was before the term download was a thing. There wasn't even computers to say download. When I was a teenager, I think a download came in and it said, it's very easy to manipulate others. It's even easier to manipulate ourselves. And I think it was something that I needed to know. But the more I wrapped my head around that, oh yeah, I realized, oh yeah, you can manipulate people. That's actually very easy. Especially if you have the gift of gab like I do. It's actually very easy, and I do not manipulate. I was a teenager when I realized this. But the fact that I realized that it's even easier to manipulate myself, just basically co-sign my own bullshit, yeah, oh yeah, Courtney, you got it going on. Yeah, it's the ego. It's all sorts of stuff. It's it's mostly ego, and I do believe that we need to keep our ego right-sized and balanced and cleansed. And I think there's a video on my site that will talk about ego, because ego is not necessarily a bad thing, and we can't get rid of the ego. It's just if the ego is driving the car, oh yeah, that's a bad thing. So check out that video. People might enjoy that. So I totally agree with you, Lucky. Definitely. Yeah. Okay, so yes, pride, vanity. Yep. So Lucky just said, for those who might be watching this later and not seeing the chat, oh no, when I set this up, I did not see the button to click chat replay. For some reason, YouTube has been very interesting lately. So Lucky Smith just said, just thought about it. The turtle's own vanity got to him. He won the race, but he should have admitted the rabbit was a better choice to save the forest. Exactly. He should have stayed. Again, right. Oh, see, Lucky, great perception. Great perception. I welcome that in, because yes, he should have known. And he should have said, no, no, no. This is for the sake of the entire forest. Send the hare. But because he just won the race, right. How could he have? Oh, good thoughts. Yeah. This is such good responses. Yeah, I agree. Well, my beloveds, take what you need from this and, go about your week. And I'm sure I will see you around at different sites and whatnot. And I appreciate you all so much. For those who are watching this later, this is a quick reminder that tomorrow, maybe into Tuesday, let's just say maybe I'll forget, will be the last cutoff to join the Akashic Records summer program with me, Courtney Stars from the Morning Light. The first workshop is this coming Sunday, next Sunday, April 30th. So get to the website, sign up, because everyone can access the records. Everyone can. I don't care who you are. You can. If you're human, you can do it. Trust me. And I will tell everybody that the beginning of May, I have in-laws coming, some other crazy stuff going on. So I will be recording a whole lot of Manly P. Hall stuff, just recording and uploading it. So I might not be here too live, and next Sunday I won't be here live either because I'll be teaching the first workshop for the Akasha Records summer program. So I will maybe try to go on live some other time, but do know that I am also live on Friday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about Thoth, to get into the Emerald Tablets. So yes, it's going to get a little busy for me, but I will never really leave you guys. I might just have to step away for a moment, and you'll be able to catch me on the flip side anyways. So I love you all, and yeah, guys, that's awesome. So Muxgrave also just said the turtle was actually more arrogant than the rabbit in the end. Guys, maybe we really need to look at that. For all of us light workers, for all of us trying to win the race because we think we know best, maybe in the end when a fire is coming, I don't know. Maybe we need to look at that. I don't know. Fascinating. Maybe just let this all swirl, and who knows? Because who knows where this race is going to really lead. I think that's why I'm saying let's focus on our own ascension process. Let's not lose sight of that, because that will always be triumphant when we're focused on our own ascension. So excellent thoughts, excellent conversation. Yeah, roll this around in our heads and just think about it. Let not our own arrogance get in the way of also making better decisions that might need to be made. So yeah. Oh, bless you, love you. Have a great week. Once again, I'll be here Friday to talk about Thoth at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Be safe, everyone, and enjoy the sunshine. Hopefully it's shining upon all people. Love you all. Namaste.